Hello and welcome to this morning's webinar brought to you by Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon Council and delivered by Innovate NI. We're delighted to have you with us this morning. My name is Claire McGee and I'll be your host for today's webinar where we'll be exploring available grants for business and how to win them. Shortly we'll hear from my colleague Dr. Barney Tull, who will lead today's session. Following that, we'll have a fireside chat with Eamon Cavli on how to successfully complete an innovation voucher based on his experience on working with companies who have been through the process. We'll then have time at the end to throw in a few questions for Barney and Eamon. So please, throughout the session, use the Q&A facility to submit your questions, and we'll put as many of those to them as time allows, and we'll aim to wrap up by 11:15. But firstly, we're lucky enough to have Alderman Glenn Barr, the Lord Mayor of Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon Council, to welcome us this morning.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this morning's webinar, Available Grants for Business and How to Win Them. This webinar is part of the mentoring support to local businesses applying for grant funding. This programme aims to provide businesses and entrepreneurs with the knowledge and skills needed to identify successfully and apply for grant assistance. Today we will hear from Claire McGee and Barney Tull from Innovate NI about using a 12-step guide on how to write a winning grant application and information on grants and streams of funding that are currently open. Wishing you every success. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, for those encouraging words. And it's just time now for me to welcome my colleague, Dr. Barney Tull, to join us this morning. And Barney, I'm just going to hand over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Claire. I'm just going to share my screen here with you. I'm just making sure that the video will work on this one. So thanks, Claire, and good morning, everyone. Delighted to see such a good turnout today. I think we had over 90 registrations for this, our second in a short series of webinars on grants and how to win them. So as Claire says, my name is Barney Tull, and along with Claire, we are the co-founders of Innovate NI. We currently deliver both the Transform Your Business programme, which we will touch on later, and this grant application support programme for ABC. Now, over the last 20 years, we have secured funding through grants and tenders for our own business to the tune of over £11 million. So I presume we're doing something right. And so today, I would like to share some of our experiences and processes with you. The Mayor talked about our 12-step plan. We covered most of that, and I'll be referring back to it in this webinar, but we recovered most of that in the last webinar, which is available on the ABC website. But I'll dip in and out to look at this. So first of all, what is the program that the Mayor mentioned? It's a new program applying for a grant. And what the program will do will provide you with some support from ourselves in looking at any application that you're doing. So applying for a grant can seem a very, very daunting task to many small business owners. Where to discover about grants is a major difficulty. What information you need about the grant and your business, how to write a successful application. These are all things that prey upon people's minds whenever they're trying to A, find a grant, and B, complete one. Well, ABC, in their wisdom, has recognized that these are issues for businesses and need to be overcome, and has established the Grant Application Support Program to provide an independent advice on how to improve your winning percentages as you write your grant application. As you can see there, the eligibility criteria are simple and straightforward. You must be located in the ABC area and employ fewer than 50 people. If you're a novice grant applicant or have been previously unsuccessful in your applications, then you are particularly welcome onto this program. We have a rolling registration on a first come, first served basis. And there's an expression of interest form, which is very, very simple to fill in. It will only take you about 5 minutes. It's mostly a tick box exercise. And once you fill that in and submit it to us, then the council will check your eligibility. And then if you have a grant that you're applying for, we will be able to provide you with advice and support on that particular grant application. So where do I find grants? The first big question. Well, a good source of business support is your local council, ABC. And they produce a regular newsletter, which I would urge you to subscribe to. It's a simple process to register. Again, this is the online website. You simply put in your details, your address, business name, your name, email address, and just subscribe. And that will then get you onto the website or onto the subscription list. And any new grants that are available will be highlighted in the weekly e-newsletter. And it just comes straight into your email on a weekly basis. And it really does keep up to date with what's new. For Northern Ireland specific grants, the best source of business grants is nibusinessinfo.com. For those of you who haven't accessed this before, not only for grants, but it is a really useful website for wider business information. But today we're going to look simply at the grant applications or the grants that are on it, and they do what they call their business support finder. Simple to use to identify grants that are available. You can see today, generally there are 185 business grants or schemes or support programs available. They're not all give me money grants. There's knowledge grants, there's awareness grants, there's mentoring grants or mentoring programs out there. So let's do a quick example and see how this actually works. So for example, let's look at exporting. So we can click the exporting box and immediately we can see that there are 32 grants available. Now let's assume that you are in the food and drink sector. So there's 31 grants available for the food and drink sector. And let's say that you are in the, whoops, wrong one there. Let's say you're in the Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon, and there's 25 business schemes available, but we're looking for a grant. So that says that there are 8 grants available if you're in the food and drink sector in the ABC area looking to export. Now, you can simply scroll down those. Some of them are from government looking at support for paying taxes. Some are financial support to help companies to export through Invest NI. And there are other programs that are available looking at the likes of Intertrade Ireland, who are pretty much focused on exporting. So let's just quickly look at the Elevate program. If you click Elevate, it will give you some more information on that program. The eligibility criteria, what it does, it provides small businesses with support to identify cross-border customers and markets, including specialist consultancy advice. And if you're really interested, if you click on the Elevate program at the bottom, it takes you out of Business Info NI and takes you into the Intertrade Ireland website, where you can look all the way down and put in an application to Caroline Sweeney, who is the manager of the program, and they will get back to you. So that is a very straightforward process. So if we go back up here, oh, sorry about that. My haste, I clicked the wrong button. So let's now look at product development because it's more akin to what we want to talk about today. So if we look at product development, and let's say you're in the health sector, again, you are in Armagh, Banbridge, Craigavon, and you're looking for grant support. And we'll see that there are 10 grant supports looking at a wide range of things from Brexit vouchers through to innovation vouchers. And if we click on innovation vouchers, it tells us a little bit about what an innovation voucher is. I'm not going to go further into that because I'm going to go into more detail once we leave this site. So that's NI Business Info. If you're a rural business, and a lot of you are rural businesses in the Armagh, Banbridge, Craigavon area, just launched in October at the end of last month, DAERA, Department of Agriculture, Enterprise and Rural Assistance, has developed its own portal looking at grants and funding, and it will allow you to look and see what grants are available for research, for food, marine and fisheries and farming and the environment. So there's a whole range of support programs that are available through that. And again, this is where I think if you get used to the going through these sites, you'll be able to come back to them fairly quickly and look at them maybe on a weekly or monthly basis just to see what's new out there. Now, as you can see, there are 185 grants available on nibusinessinfo.com, but there are literally thousands of grants available across the UK for small businesses, for large businesses, for social enterprises, and indeed for charities. So it's not surprising, that finding your way through this maze can be time-consuming, but there are shortcuts. The ones that you see here, Grant Finder, Grants Online, Simply Business are databases of grants that can be easily searched. However, there is a price for doing that. And I know that when I mentioned this at the last time, somebody asked, well, what does it cost? It really depends upon what you are looking for, how often you're going to be using it, what level of information you want out of it, how much of it you do yourself, whether you're a passive searcher or an active searcher, and whether you want weekly reports coming in on grants that are available. But if you are really interested in that, something like Grant Finder is very useful. We will be sending out a copy of this presentation to everybody, and all the links that are hyperlinked through this will be available to you. So for instance, if you want to find Grant Finder, the link is there and you can go on and have a look at Grant Finder and see what it does and how you can get access to it. Other sources include government sources. For instance, Government UK published all of the COVID grants. This one is looking at Northern Ireland. We'll see what's available in Northern Ireland here. Gigabit Broadband Voucher Scheme, for instance, and I'm going to touch a little bit on that in a minute. All the COVID-19 grants were published here as well, so it really is a good source of information. Plus all the innovation grants that are published through Innovate UK in relation to Innovate NI ourselves. So again, whenever we send you out as to your registered email address this presentation, you will have all of these links directly so that you can explore them. So there, as we saw, there are 185 grants available across Northern Ireland now for Northern Ireland companies from different suppliers. You can see here, here's some of them which I just looked at yesterday that are currently open. There's a Brexit voucher, again, financial support of up to £2,000 towards professional advice if your business is affected by Brexit. You can apply for that very simply. Again, if you click the link on this, it will take you through to the Brexit voucher information. So you just have to be located on the island, are involved in cross-border trade, employ less than 250 employees, and turnover less than 50 million. So there's, and if we go down to find out more, that will take us into the Intertrade Ireland and directly into the application. The one I mentioned earlier on there, we came across was a Gigabit Broadband Voucher Scheme. And this is a very useful one, particularly for businesses who are in the rural areas. It provides you with a voucher of up to £3,500 in order to get high-speed broadband brought right to your premises. So if you're a business, £3,500. If you're a private person, £1,500 for your home. So if we put in a postcode check, and I have a postcode for Market Hill, 61 PL, I think is Main Street in Market Hill. And we search for that. That will tell us what providers are active in the area. And really, although it says 3, there's really 2 providers. One is OpenReach, which is BT, and one is Fibrous Networks. So they are active in the area. So it means that you would be available to apply for this grant. How do the vouchers work? You check if you're eligible, which we've just done if you're in Market Hill. Then you talk to the registered supplier if they are getting a voucher project together, i.e. are they going to move into that area if there's enough people who are willing to take up fibre to the premises. If they are doing it, then you ask to be part of the project, get the links, the fibre links done to your business, and sign up for a Gigabit voucher. If they're not in that area, well, one of the things that you could do is try to gather community interest together. If there's 4 or 5 companies and maybe a few houses around who would like to get broadband, you can have all put together, approach the provider and say that we will all apply for a voucher to get broadband brought into my particular area. So you can accumulate the vouchers together. And down here, we see the Innovation Voucher Scheme, which we touched on very briefly. Just above that, you'll see that there's a program just launched called ERIG, and I've been asked about this, the Economic Recovery Innovation Grant. However, it will provide £5,000 towards the cost of developing a new product. But the difficulty with this one is that you have to be already within the Invest NI Innovator framework, and you have to be specifically at silver level. So if anybody's interested in that, we can work with you to help you to see if you are at silver level. But the number of people who currently would be eligible for it is quite low. So we are not going to focus on it today. But if anybody is interested, then please make contact with us through the expression of interest form afterwards. But the one that I do want to look at today is the Innovation Voucher. So one of the grant programs that is open cyclically is Invest NI's Innovation Voucher Scheme. Now it opens 4 times a year, but as you can see here, that the application period is really quite short. It's less than 3 weeks. In fact, in this case, the one that's opening on the 24th of January is only for 18 days. However, it is reasonably accessible to SMEs, and it's not overly complicated to apply for, but you do need to do, I would say, a fair bit of preparation. So I would like to take you on a walk through this application process for a project, for a grant that's coming up in January of next year. So first of all, what is innovation in business? Excuse me. A lot of businesses, they really think innovation is a far cry from what they do in their business, and it's more tied in with scientists and research and labs and et cetera. However, that's far from the case. Innovation could mean just launching a new product or an improved product or service, which can lead to higher revenue. Making an existing process within your business more efficient, or solving a current business problem, both of which may cut down on cost and save time, and therefore add to your bottom line. So the key element of innovation is that it drives revenue for the company, or it improves margin for the business. And it might be new to you or new to your sector, but it's not necessarily having to be completely invented by you. So that's the big difference. A lot of people think innovation has to be blue sky research and something completely new, but as long as it's new to your business or new to your sector, then it is an innovation. So why did InvestNI push the idea of innovation vouchers? Well, I think over the years, it's been shown that the level of innovation amongst SMEs in Northern Ireland is low in comparison to UK-wide levels. And it has been declining after a peak around 2013. It's been declining, and you can see from the graph there that all the way along that Northern Ireland is lagging behind the UK. We're currently about 32% of businesses are engaging in innovation activity, as opposed to 38% of them on a UK-wide basis. So innovation activities are all or any scientific, technological, organizational, financial, or commercial steps which actually are intended to lead to the implementation of innovation. So you're going to ask me, what is innovation? Well, as I said the last time, it's new ideas, new products, or new methods which have not been used before by you or by your business sector. There are new processes, marketing methods, or organizational methods are implemented. They become innovations when they're implemented into the actual use of a firm's operations. Otherwise, the difference between an innovation and an idea or an invention is that ideas and inventions never get implemented into your business. So an innovation is something that you come up with and you implement for the betterment of your business. So in order to redress the low levels of innovation in Northern Ireland, InvestNI has introduced innovation vouchers to encourage higher levels of innovation, and they have focused that on getting small businesses to work through collaboration with public sector knowledge providers. So it is quite specific on what it can do. So as I said, it's cyclical. But when can I apply for it? There are 4 calls a year for innovation vouchers, and each call is generally open 3 to 4 weeks. So as I said at the beginning, the next call is 24th of January, and the closing date is at 3 p.m. on the 11th of February, which does not give a lot of time. But what is an innovation voucher? Well, it's exactly that. It's a voucher that you can spend but only on expertise from a specific third level institution, either a university or a research centre, to help you develop your business idea or invention into an implementable innovation. I said at the beginning that it's very easy to get into. So am I eligible? Well, there are 2 distinct cohorts that are eligible. So either you're a small enterprise, a social enterprise, or a third sector organization with less than 50 employees and a turnover less than 10 million, or you're a medium-sized enterprise, social enterprise, or a third sector organization with more than 50 employees, less than 250, and an annual turnover not exceeding 50 million. But for the medium-sized enterprise, you must not have received assistance through Northern Ireland, Invest Northern Ireland's grant for R&D programs in the past 5 years. And can I get more than one? Well, yes, you can. You can access up to 3 innovation vouchers for different projects, mind you, from May 2020 over a rolling 5-year period. So we're in that 5-year period at the minute. We're at the end of 2021. So you can have 3 innovation vouchers within 5 years, but only 1 innovation voucher at a time. So much does it cost me? Well, your business will pay for the VAT associated with the project, and obviously any project cost over and above the voucher value, which is £5,000. You notice that there's different rates for your first, second, and third innovation voucher. First vouchers are obviously designed to encourage businesses which have not teamed up before with a knowledge provider. So if this is your first time at an innovation voucher, you get 100% of £5,000 paid to the knowledge provider. You do pay the VAT to the knowledge provider. They will charge VAT on the £5,000. So that's £1,000 that you as a business has to pay. But priority will be given to businesses that are on their first innovation voucher. So if you're working, to encourage you to work on a formal basis with a specific university or research institution department. If you're VAT registered, then you can claim the VAT back through your normal VAT procedures, and obviously your accountant is best placed to advise you on that. If you're not VAT registered, then you must pay the 20% VAT to the knowledge provider and you can't claim it back. But if you look at it, you're getting £5,000 worth of consultancy for £1,000, and that's good value. So obviously you can have a innovation cost, project cost, which is more than £5,000, but you pay the additional cost, and that would be agreed between you and the knowledge provider. As you go into your second or third innovation voucher, the percentage grant rate reduces to from 100 to 80% to 70%. So, but it still works out at exceptional value for money. So who are the knowledge providers and who can I use? Well, you can't use private sector consultants through an innovation voucher scheme. You must use a provider who's on the list of public sector academic and research organizations. But you can use them right across the island of Ireland, so you can use them from Northern Ireland or the Republic. We've put in a hyperlink to the list of eligible organizations, eligible knowledge providers. So, and these are all click-throughs as well. So it ranges from Queen's University, all the FE colleges, Ulster University, the Institutes of Technology in the Republic of Ireland, AFBI, Belfast Met, CAFRE. So all the academic and research institutions are named there. And again, the full list will be made available to you should you be interested. So as I said before, innovation is about doing things differently or doing different things to make your business better. So you can use an innovation voucher to help you take a creative approach to tackling your specific business issues, whether that's looking at scientific research and expertise, exploring new technologies, exploring new business models, new or improved products, processes and services, or even looking at new materials which can help improve your existing products. It's really up to you, whatever your needs are, as long as you can demonstrate that it is a need for your business and not necessarily a want. What can I not use an innovation voucher for? Well, the clue's in the name. It's an innovation voucher. It cannot be used for payment for or development of standard business activities or general advice, for buying equipment or for training. Also, if an existing solution is readily available from the private sector or off the shelf, it's unlikely, in fact, it's definite that an innovation voucher will not be awarded. So you need to do your research on what's available out there that could meet your needs. And also, if support for your program is available from another Invest NI program, an innovation voucher will not be awarded, but Invest NI will refer you to the appropriate program team. I'd like to do a very short video of an innovation voucher case study. And again, I think this will show that it's not all white lab coats and research facilities.
I'm Lynette and I am the director and owner of Spear and Arrow Bone Broth. It's different from other ones that's on the market at the minute because it's a gelatin, so we actually cook it down into a concentrated form. People would take the 2 spoonfuls a day in a wee cup of boiling water. I sell at local markets here in Northern Ireland, farmers markets and artisan markets on a Saturday. And then we also have online sales, which then allows me to sell to the UK. Whenever I decided about maybe setting up a business, I spoke to Loughry College, got in contact with them, and then it was them had advised me of a scheme called the Innovation Vouchers. The Innovation Voucher process is really simple. You just fill in the application form and online and send it off, and within a matter of weeks I heard back from them that I had been successful. I proceeded with Loughry College. I met up with them and we agreed terms of reference of what they would do and our roles and responsibilities. then I was appointed Hayley O'Neill.
My name's Hayley O'Neill. I'm a food technologist here based at Loughry campus in Caffrey. So we're a knowledge provider within the Invest NI Innovation Voucher scheme. So companies can come to us when they've been awarded a voucher and it's got £5,000 of value that they can use to work with an advisor here at the college and use our facilities. Lynette had a base recipe that she had developed in her own kitchen facilities. We took that recipe into our own Innovation Centre kitchen facilities and replicated that by reformulating it with ingredients that were commercially viable for her that may help with costings and help obtain an optimum shelf life. It was a very successful project, the biggest outcome being that the company is now established. She has new processing facilities already set up. Her equipment is installed and the knowledge has been transferred from here to the business, which is our key aims.
Because of COVID, Loughry College was locked down, so that sort of held up the product development stage. So it was whenever I got my own unit here in Ledcom and my own equipment, then I was able to do the upscaling of the recipe here, but liaising with Hayley on Zoom calls and on telephone calls and via email, and then I was able to send the samples down to Loughry College and she progressed with the lab tests there. The benefits of the Innovation Voucher has been basically financially, it's been a huge help. With £5,000 you get towards that expertise working with Loughry College. It has covered all my product development on 2 flavours so far. It has covered my shelf life testing and it's covered my nutritional level testing from accredited labs and also the expertise. So Hayley has been able to interpret the lab results as well, and as at the end of a phone call, any questions I have or any queries I have, they have helped with that. I would recommend an Innovation Voucher to other companies because the expertise you get gives you the confidence to be able to progress with your business idea. Spear and Arrow wouldn't be in the position it's in without the support of the Innovation Voucher.
So I think that just shows you that it's not all rocket science. It's not highfalutin stuff, but it's very applicable to a lovely little business who is starting off, and with the support that they got, have been able to move very quickly into the market. So as the Mayor mentioned at the beginning and on the last webinar, I outlined the 12 steps to successful grant applications. That webinar is available on the ABC website, and if you haven't seen it, it might be worth a while having taking a peek. Those 12 steps are applicable here, and if you remember the first video or the first webinar, then you'll see how I'm applying them to what I'm going to do now, which is really looking at the application form for innovation vouchers and how you should really go about tackling that application form, but starting as soon as possible and not waiting till the 24th of January. So the application form is filled in online, so it's a completely online application, but I would recommend completing the application in Word and pasting it into the relevant sections. That will allow you to much more easily edit it, keep track of the word count, and really make it much easier for you. Your innovation voucher application title, alongside details of your participation, your business name and address, will be published. You're accessing public funding, so under Freedom of Information, that amount of information will be available. So therefore, when you're thinking about a title, I would recommend that you use one which won't disclose any commercially sensitive information about your project. And again, we touched on that in the last webinar. So you need the following to complete the application form: your company name, date established, number of employees, what your business does, main products, services, turnover, balance sheet, contact details, etc. So we had talked about that previously. It's very useful for you to create that document now, so that you always have this background information to your business and keep it updated. You'd be amazed how many people we talk to who don't know what their balance sheet details are, don't know what their turnover is for the previous 12 months. The other good thing about innovation vouchers, and you might have got it from that little video there, is that if you're a potential entrepreneur, you can also apply if you are pre-trading. You won't have the balance sheet and turnover, but you will be able to provide information on your expertise and experience in this area to help build up a picture of you as the applicant. The main body of the application is concerned with obviously your innovation project. So I haven't downloaded the application form because it's online, but these are the questions, the specific questions that are on that application form. So once you get past the initial details, then section 2 of the application form runs through a series of questions. The first one is, what is the business issue you would like to address? In the innovation project, in this innovation project section, you need to make a case for your voucher. And previously I had talked about the difference between need and want. You might want something in your business. You will not get funded if you just want something, but if you need it, then that is the differentiating factor. So it's important to demonstrate need in relation to your project. But I would also suggest that you take a step back from your viewpoint of succeeding in getting that grant and look at it from the perspective of Invest NI. So in effect, they are investors with an investment fund and their own key performance indicators that have to be met. So if you think of it, if someone came to you and asked for £5,000 of your money to invest in their idea, as well as examining their track record in business, you would first of all want to establish, is there a need for that product? And the more hard and quantifiable information you receive, the more you may well be inclined to part with your hard-earned cash. Well, it's exactly the same for Invest NI. So if you remember the slide earlier, I think it was slide 8, which highlighted the disparity between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK in terms of business innovating. Well, Invest NI haven't been magically given funds to disperse, for the goodness of their heart. But they've had to develop a business case, set their aims and objectives, promise key performance indicators, and ensure that the funds are creating a return on the investment entrusted to them. And that is to assist more businesses to successfully innovate. So to satisfy them in your proposal, you need to have carried out some research to demonstrate need, provide quantification of that need, because you can be sure of one thing, your fellow applicants will be doing that. Next question then is, what is a business issue you would like to address? So ask yourself some serious questions. What's the gap in the market that you have identified that isn't being filled? Do you need to change design in your product for greater efficiency? Do you need materials analyzed for components for one of your products to make them work better? Do you need specification developed for a new piece of software? Have you a new food product that needs a commercial recipe? Do you need to develop an environmentally friendly packaging from recycled materials? Now, again, those are all needs that your business might have. So then consider where your lack of knowledge lies. What specific activity would you like the knowledge provider to undertake on your behalf to help solve the business issue? So you need to ask yourself all these questions to make a strong case for your innovation voucher. The key to your success or failure is, what's innovative about your project? How is your project novel? I mentioned before, but it's important. What research have you done to identify any similar products or processes or services that are out there? Because the assessors will do that. They'll say, well, this is what this guy wants to do. A quick internet search will find that, that already exists. Now, if you find similar products, processes, or services out there, it's not the end of the world, but you need to explain why they do not meet your requirements. What do your competitors currently do? Your competitors, if they're doing something different, explain why that is not completely filling a gap in the market. What's currently being provided as an alternative to your idea, and why do you feel that your idea is better than that alternative? So this is really where you make the case, what's innovative about your project. Have you assessed that market need? You need to detail, what market research or market analysis you've carried out in order to assess the demand or the potential demand for your project. So what reports have you got? Have you researched your customer base? How have you done that? Have you recorded customer feedback? Have you surveyed your own customers? If you can quantify answers to these questions, then that will strongly bolster your case. And you should also explain any initial development work that you might have undertaken, maybe design concepts, initial prototypes, drawings, etc. And plans and photographs can be uploaded again to back up your application. The next question then on the application form is, what skills do you require from your knowledge provider? It's important for you to be able to express what your support needs are. Are they mechanical engineering, scientific materials analysis, software development, or design, to give a few examples. These are all things that your knowledge provider can provide to you, and you're probably not expected to be able to know those yourself. If you know or have a relationship with a knowledge provider, it would be worthwhile to talk to them prior to submitting your proposal so it can reflect their expertise. And again, this will add to the plausibility and viability of your proposal. So also think of your project requirements as demonstrating SMART objectives. Are they specific? Are they measurable, achievable? Are they realistic? And are they timely? Can they be done within the time frame of the innovation voucher? And again, if you can have prior discussions with your knowledge provider, you'll be able to address these and greatly enhance your chances of success. If you don't have a knowledge provider, it's not the end of the world. That discussion can take place, as part of your assessment process. This is one that might be the big bugbear, the management of expectations. What deliverables do you expect? So if you remember, an innovation voucher is awarded to help you on your first step to success. It's highly unlikely that it will result in a finished customer-ready commercial product. It's going to take a lot more than generally a £5,000 research voucher to do that. However, you can expect the outputs to include reports or technical design drawings, technical specifications, rough product or process prototypes, or the results of specific analysis, which will lead you down a particular technology roadmap. But in order to avoid confusion and disappointment and to manage expectations, you must agree project outputs and key deliverables at the outset with the knowledge provider. And this must be clearly detailed in the terms of reference between you and the knowledge provider before any contract is signed. So possibly, and we might hear about this later, the most disputes in innovation vouchers lie in the deliverables and the mismatch of expectations. So it's really important to tie this down at the beginning of the process. So now you're asked, how will the project benefit your business? So you've assessed the demand for your product or service in an early response and identified how the innovation would help your business process or your business model. Well, now is the time to quantify the impact that would make on your business, and indeed thinking of the funders, how that could impact potentially on the Northern Ireland economy. So impact on your business can be in the form of increased sales, increased profit, increased market share, increased efficiencies, or cost reductions. Again, like assessing the market need, it's important to be able to quantify these either as percentages over current baselines or in absolute terms, and explain how you got to those figures. At a wider macroeconomic level, and you're going, how do we apply our little business to macroeconomics? Given Invest and I's stated objectives, two main objectives of increasing employment and increasing exports, if your project can lead to job creation or accessing new markets outside of Northern Ireland, then again, give the rationale behind those proposed figures. And remember what I said earlier about funders, if you help them to achieve their objectives, you'll be more likely to get the funding to achieve yours. Time frame, I've already mentioned this. The opening date is the 24th of January, closing date is 3 p.m. on the 11th of February. So as I said, it's a straightforward application process, but there's a fair amount of work to be done. And given that there's only 18 days to do that, you should be starting preparing as early as possible to give each of the responses above that we've looked at your best shot. Remember, all grant applications, and not just innovation vouchers, are extremely competitive. There's always a finite pot of cash out there, and the demand always outstrips supply. So you need to demonstrate that your project meets all of the eligibility requirements, will create a measurable impact for your business, is innovative, and helps Invest NI achieve their objectives. So even though the call hasn't opened yet, time is running out. The good thing about Innovation Vouchers is that we know what the format is going to be. It's the same every time. So it's important that you start as soon as possible. If you need some help, as we mentioned at the beginning, and as the Mayor mentioned, the Grant Application Support Programme is there to help you. We won't write your application for you, but we'll make sure that what you're doing is in the right direction. So I'm sure you've heard enough about me talking for the last 40 minutes or so. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Eamon Cavli. Eamon has 19 years consultancy experience running his own business for the last 8 years and has been an associate mentor with ourselves for over 6 years now. So he's helped many businesses successfully to access grant programs, including Innovation Vouchers. And more than welcome today, Eamon. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hopefully you're there. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Eamon.
How's it going?
Good to see you. That was a very sort of fast run through the process that you need to follow for Innovation Vouchers. And really, I suppose what I've done is I've taken people up to the stage where they press that button which says submit. And you've been through that as well with a lot of businesses like myself. So I thought it'd be nice just to have our little, for 5 or 10 minutes, little fireside chat on after you hit that button, what happens. So from
if see from when you hit the button, right? That's if I can just go slightly back to, we talked about selecting your knowledge providers.
Yeah.
And if you have a relationship with people, that's brilliant. To me now, my starting point is always actually going and finding a knowledge provider at the start. And the reason being, like, I've been lucky enough to be involved in about 20 different Innovation Voucher applications and run them through with people. Typically our support doesn't last as long as an Innovation Voucher, so you don't always get to see the end of it, but you're there for the start points and getting to see it running through. So what I've found is it's better to know your knowledge provider before you get going. And from that, from the link that you showed there with the list of the different providers, each academic institution has normally a central point or contact who you can ask them, look, if I was to come to you and to talk to you about stress tests on, some sort of aggregate equipment, if I happen to be based in and around the Tyrone area, I'm probably going to be making one of them machines. Who do I go and talk to? And you would find that the third level institutes would normally have specialisms contained within them. So certain ones will do certain things better than others. So for the likes of, you'd seen Bone and Broth had talked there about food, and you would find very much that there's two main food centres in Northern Ireland that most people go to. Now other third level academic providers will offer that, but the likes of Food Innovation up your neck of the woods, Barney.
Northwest, yeah.
Yeah. And there are others there. I'm not going to try and promote one or the other, but the likes of the Queens and that would be very good at engineering and software, and as would University of Ulster. So Southwest Regional College would be very strong in engineering equipment and things like that. So what I would say is contact, have a look through that knowledge provider list, and it'll list all of the core competencies that each college is offering. And then from that, contact the main commercial person within the organization, fire them off an email, and say, look, I want to speak to someone about this certain discipline. If they have someone there, they'll organize that for you, and they'll get someone to contact you, or alternatively they'll come back and say, look, we can't provide that. We were in one of the ones that I was in a position before, we assumed that the third level institute could provide it because we had read on their list that this was one of the areas of their competencies. But when we actually got through the application form and we went to make contact with them, they said, yes, the thing was slightly out of date. and that person had left the college, so they didn't have that technical skill. So it's better to do that in advance. And your technical provider can sometimes give you good hints and tips on how to fill out an application, or to say to you, well, actually what you're doing is already commercially available. So
Yeah.
that relationship, I think, should exist before you hit go. But
Yeah.
so if we just then jump back to when you said when you hit go, so normally you would expect to hear back within about a month to 6 weeks as to the successfulness of your application. And that's because, as Barney has rightly pointed out, this goes before a judging panel who will judge you against others. And the projects that have the most merit will be the ones that go forward. So what they'll do is they'll come back to you, and the registration is done through the My NI portal, INI portal, and you'll get an email generated from that system to say you're either successful or you're not successful. I can guarantee you that badgering them and following up saying, what about my application? What about my application? Won't make them go any faster. You're just going to have to be patient.
Yeah. I forgot to mention about you have to register for My INI as well, which is another online thing.
And the registration for that's fairly simple, and it
Yes,
translates the information across into every application as you're getting started. So it does exactly as what you're saying, Barney, about templating the business information to start with. So 4 to 6 weeks you should hear back. And then what happens next is you'll get the go ahead, hopefully, and then you make contact with your knowledge provider. Now, what I would say is to manage expectations and understand that third level institutes, we have this traditional expectation that they're centers and fountains of knowledge, and they're there to educate the minds of people and whatever, but you also have to realize that they're commercial entities, and that they're there to make money for themselves to ensure their own sustainability. And therefore they generally try to have a fairly good level of workload. So whenever you have got success in your program or your project, and you're going to work with these, you're going to have to work around their timescales as well as your own. It's not like you go in and they're saying, right, let's get started today. We're eager and ready to go. That's not reality. There will have already been people there from previous tranches of innovation vouchers who they're working with. So the first meeting should always be about exactly as Barney said, and I can't, every time that we've had any disputes with any of the third level institutes, it's always been around the time it takes to get things done, and the expectations of what is going to be the output. And it is always that you as the innovation voucher holder has a higher expectation than what the third level institute can provide. So it's really super careful to get that tied down in your terms of reference. And what I would always say is I would use the terms of reference as the starting point for negotiation. Again, treating these guys as commercial entities that they are, they have to put in as much time as they think that they need into a project, but you also have to exercise as much out of the project as is possible. So you should be going ideally with a shopping list of things that you want to get out of the process, and that's where the starting point would be. So you should be discussing this with the third level provider, asking them how far you can push this and how much can you get out of it. This is that you're only on your first one. It's the first time that you're ever going to get it at 100%. Obviously with the VAT, they're also after, but it's your only time to get it. So use it as a negotiating position. And on that first meeting, we really, really need to discuss timelines and what your expectations are. Generally, I would find that an innovation voucher takes somewhere between 3 to 6 or 7 months for it to actually fulfill throughout to that final output. I've seen it, you're allowed 9 months, but generally it's in and around 6 months is by the time it would finish.
Yeah, and I think one of the issues or one of the experiences we've had also depends on what time of the year that you're doing your innovation voucher, because particularly if you're looking at a university, if you're running through and you're using an academic rather than a researcher, and you're coming up to exam times and they're correcting stuff and marking, and there's a lot of pressure on them, as you said, that that's their day job as well. So you kind of need to factor that in as well.
Well, July and August, I would always consider a real go slow time for doing stuff with third level people, because generally that's when they're on their holidays.
Yeah.
And then as you move into the start of the academic year in September, they're bedding in students, and they're also bedding in new staff who last year's postgrads. So it generally, that's the time of the year I would avoid, Barney, but I mean, it depends on the
But
institute.
it depends when the call goes out, I suppose, as well.
And generally it is repeated every year. So it's end of January, generally, then end of April, generally. Then you would have a call in and around September-ish time. So there's generally 4 calls a year. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4, and it depends on demand. I mean, the higher the demand, the less calls there are. But I know a lot of businesses have been trying to innovate due to COVID. So you would find that, or I've found recently, there is quite high demand. But again, I don't know what the numbers are for this call coming up. But I know if I was applying for it, I would definitely be making contact with the third level institute this week
and
to start that discussion.
Yeah, as I said, don't wait for the call to come out. You know, you need to have your ducks in a row and your background research done and your case made and your links done. So it's simply a case of, once that form goes online, you're there to fill it in.
And look, it's there all the time. I mean, if you're not ready to actually formally apply right now, the application information is there. You can start working that case up now for the next time it comes out. But I know in any of the client work that we have ever done, Barney, it's always been around the initial, you had said rightly, we don't write the thing for you, but now's the time to discuss it. And it's great to discuss it with a third party who can sense check what you're saying and can even do a small bit of research into whether this already exists or doesn't, and then do a bit of needs analysis on it as well.
Yeah, because I mean, my experience has been that they are really useful support tools to have, the Innovation Voucher. And and I tried the reason I chose that example, the bone broth people, was that it's not a high-flying super high-tech business. It's the majority of the types of businesses that we deal with and you deal with, are, I was going to say bread and butter business. you tip that into your broth. But they are the ones that are the mainstay of the economy, and they're the ones, if you can get a good start and have somebody come in with a bit of technology advice and give you that step forward.
Well, in the main, I would actually find that the vast majority of people that go for innovation vouchers and are successful in their applications are pre-trading, or they've only been going up to about 12 months or slightly more, but they're generally not people going 10, 15 years, because they already have established those links. But those types of people that normally go in, it normally covers food industry, it covers software associated with other industries, and engineering would be the kind of ones that I would see going forward the most, and going into it. And it's really good in the perspective of having that technical knowledge around extending the shelf life of a product if you're a food company, or stress testing the engineering processes or equipment that you have. Or in software, getting someone, I mean, I've seen it where they've had people go in and run beta checks on software to make sure that it's doing all the things, because you've been that bogged down in writing the software. Sometimes you don't know what you're looking at anymore, because it's just the same thing day in, day out. So that's the mainstay, is sort of you're just about to get going, and you might have 1 or 2 products already, or you mightn't have any, but generally it's to get that outside help to get you going and get things moving on. And it also can be used very well for accreditation, from a customer perspective, to say, look, we've went through processes with Queen's University Belfast or University of Ulster, or whatever institute that you're working with, that it gives it that bit of extra accreditation. It's not an official one, but you have actually worked with these guys to hone your product or service.
Yeah, and I think it's good. I mean, as you mentioned there, and I mentioned, you don't have to be a business up and running. You can be pre-trading, you can be an entrepreneur with an idea, as long as, and again, I said this in the last webinar, if you come across as a reasonable, rational, experienced, knowledgeable person, it's the person that they're investing in to a large extent, to make sure that, and you've seen it as well as I have, good ideas don't always get the funding because the people will never implement those ideas. They're the wrong people. So if you are able to demonstrate that you are a bona fide, intelligent, business-oriented person and can take this idea into innovation and implementation, then to me it's always about how you put yourself forward, and the more that you can do a really good case of the stuff that we talked about, it shows that you've thought about this and that you're not a perpetual motion geek. Does it have those?
Yeah. Well, I think innovation vouchers genuinely are brilliant, and even going through that application process kind of helps you sense check yourself to go, what am I doing here, and am I really going to go through with this? It is it's public money, so you got to think really hard and strong about this. And also, do I have £1,000 to back this up if I'm not VAT registered? Because far too often people go for funding, as you know, Barney, and they don't realize that they have to spend their own money on top of it. And if you can't afford that £1,000, don't apply for it.
But it's like the others, back to what I was talking about there, somebody approached me a few weeks ago and said, "Oh, that grant site, what should I apply for?" The innovation, but I mean, tell me what I could innovate. No. That's not what you do.
It should be burning desire stuff. It should be stuff
should.
that you've thought, I know there's a market for this. I know I'm the only one that has thought of this, or I've thought of a new way of doing something that other people are already doing. And some of the best successes I've had are with people that are making slight tweaks on what already exists in the market, but theirs is more efficient, or it's creating a better margin for them, or it's doing something that's significantly different. And there should be that kernel of an idea there already, of how I should do this. You shouldn't be, oh, the money's there, I should go for it. Sure, why not? And some of the best aggregate equipment to come out of here has come because of innovation vouchers. Some of the best food, again, has come because of innovation vouchers. And it's the first step on a process. And a lot of people will stay engaged with the third level institute provider in one way or another to continue that journey through other variations or iterations of a product as time moves on. So it's your opportunity to create a relationship with technical knowledge.
Because once you're in there, I mean, there are other programs that follow on, like Innovate Us through the FE colleges, or Fusion, or which just getting bigger and bigger and more focused on stuff that you can do. So it is a great introduction. Eamon, we have run out of time. Pity we weren't doing this.
It's been a pleasure, everyone.
With a cup of coffee or something else at a later stage. But listen, thanks very much for your input. I'm sure people are fed up listening to me, and it's nice to get another voice in there.
Another baldy person on the
another baldy person. Hey,
all right.
As you keep saying to me, grass doesn't grow on a busy street.
Very good. Right. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheerio, guys.
Okay, thanks very much, Eamon. I'm just going to go back to sharing my screen here to finish off for the last 5 minutes or so of the program. So that was Eamon. Thanks very much, Eamon. So that basically is a very quick run through on the Innovation Vouchers program. Can't recommend it enough. And as I said, you need to be starting now. Another program that came up in the bit of research I was doing yesterday is the eMERGE program. And this one is run by Intertrade Ireland. And basically it was started during the pandemic, as you can see from my little 3D man there. It's a COVID-19 support program. And it was designed to help small businesses get online, create a presence online so that they could continue selling while their physical premises were closed down. Each business gets 5 days of dedicated support from a consultant. It's fully funded, £2,500 worth of support. And they have an expert at their disposal who can focus on any particular aspect or need of their business being online. And support is anything from how to promote and sell online, e-marketing, social media. Everybody is really interested in that. how to manage your website, how to get the best out of it, how to make sure that whenever people are searching for it, it appears in the first page of Google. And then getting down to the nitty-gritty of the program in terms of how do you take online payments, how do you do billing, security, all that sort of stuff. Over 1,000 businesses have been supported on eMerge over the last 18 months. And again, if we click on the eMerge link on the site, it'll take us through directly to the Intertrade Ireland page, and the application form is a very simple click through where you just fill in your details and submit it online and get you into that picture. The only thing I would say is that you have to have an established trading history. You have to be trading 12 to 18 months and be trading cross-border. So again, simply because Intertrade Ireland is a cross-border program. But again, it is another very useful program in that level of support that's available out there. And again, we've shown you how to identify those. So just to reiterate then, the mentoring support program to local businesses applying for grants. Eligibility is straightforward: be in the council area, employ fewer than 50 people. And particularly if you have been unsuccessful, then we would really like to work with you. As I said, we will not write the application for you. It has to be yours. You're the one with the knowledge and the understanding and the drive. But we will work with you and guide you on what you should be writing in response to the questions, whether that's an innovation voucher or any other grant, and we'll provide you with proofreading and reality check, before you finally submit your online form. So again, there's a link through on expression of interest. Simply complete that, and one of the team will contact you as soon as possible just to check your eligibility and get you onto the program. I mentioned at the outset that Innovate and I delivers 2 programs for ABC. This one, the grant application support, and the Transform Your Business program, which is the flagship program for business support within the ABC Council area. Transform Your Business is a streamed mentoring support program which supports young entrepreneurs. If you're 29 or under, no matter what your business, we will be able to provide you with support. If you're a social enterprise in any particular area, we will be able to help you with business support. If you're an early or first-time exporter, we can again provide you with business mentoring and support to help you grow your exports. We'll also work with digitech businesses. If you're operating in the digital world, then we can provide you with business support to do that. And we can also provide digital transformation support to help you look at what's available for you and any particular business that you're in to help you digitally transform your business. And finally, as a follow-on from what we've just been talking about on innovation vouchers, an innovation support program, which will help you take your innovation and build it into your business and see what needs to be done from a business perspective in order to make that a success. We could also help you, we mentioned the Economic Recovery Innovation Grant, where you have to be on the Invest NI Innovation Framework. Our innovation support program would work with you to get you onto that, to see if you can participate in that innovation framework. We currently are recruiting for participants. We will run the program until December next year, providing mentoring support to SMEs, as I said, located within the ABC Council area. Again, it's a very simple online expression of interest form. The link is there. Once you complete the form, submit it, Council will check your eligibility, and then if eligible, one of our consultants will carry out an initial business assessment to identify your support needs. And you'll be able to avail a pool of our super duper experienced professional business mentors. You can see them there taking off with their red capes. We've got 65 business experience, business mentors, and we'll be able to provide you with those services totally free of charge. So again, we're coming to the end. We have a lot of useful information, links, which you can access. Again, say if you haven't defined these links, again, we will send this out as a PDF to the registered email address. So if we have, I'd like to just take this time to thank you today. So if there's any questions, I'll be really happy to take them in the remaining few minutes, whatever hasn't been answered already. So, hello, Claire.
Just in case you haven't seen some of the questions, and we've got one in from Louise about innovation grants available. Are they available to non-profit companies, community interest companies?
Yeah, yes, they are. They are available. It's the same thing, provided you have an innovation that is different, and there's a need for it and a demand for it. Then yes.
Okay, and then someone said they previously applied for an innovation voucher, but they were unsuccessful. Can they apply again?
Yes, of course you can. And even if you are successful, you can apply again. The only difficulty is by the time you find out that you are not successful, that call is finished. So you have to wait till the next one, but you can ask for feedback from the suppliers and or from InvestNI, and they will tell you what particular areas that you might need to look at better where you fell out.
And we've also provided the list of the knowledge providers, but someone has asked the question, what if you cannot find the expertise within the knowledge provider list?
That's a good question. It's a difficult one. Knowledge providers, I see Eamon jump back on again there. Knowledge providers, there's a lot of them. You cannot purchase directly from a private sector consultant, but a knowledge provider can provide up to 20% of the cost of the innovation voucher by buying in someone that they subcontract as part of if they haven't got a specific area or haven't got a specific maybe piece of equipment that they need to use for materials analysis or something. Eamon, do you want to jump in there?
Because you can spend this voucher across the island of Ireland and any third level institute on the island of Ireland, I've never actually hit that problem where you cannot find someone with that knowledge. It's always findable. So, it might take a wee bit of research, but you will always find someone who will be able to service you. You just got to go through that providers list and keep checking. But it's never happened to me before. Like I say, I've probably done about 20 of these, and I've never heard of it either, where you couldn't find anyone to do it.
Can Invest help you with that?
Absolutely, they can. I mean, the team in there obviously would liaise with the third level institutes on a regular basis. So they would know more in depth about each individual area and what each can do. But again, it's highly unlikely, Barney, that you would hit that scenario. But again, as you rightly pointed out, if it's something really, really specific, it's the third level institute. And I have done this before where we have bought in time from a commercial specialist for about 3 days to do something that nobody could do, except this one. It was something to do with LiDAR and photography from helicopters. It was a very weird one, but we were able to find it.
Yeah, I know one many years ago, there was a private company tested jet engines in Carrickfergus, and for some reason was called in because the universities didn't have jet engine testing facilities.
Reasonable enough.
Yeah, reasonable enough.
Just because we are running out of time, I have a couple others that I want to get through. Can a project cost more than £5,000?
Yes, it can, but you'll only get £5,000 in your voucher. You will pay the additional, whatever, say it was £7,000, you will pay to the knowledge provider the additional £2,000 plus that.
Who owns the intellectual property developed within the innovation voucher?
Well, the great thing about that is that you do, as the business that is assigned to you, unless you want to do a co-assignment with your knowledge provider because they might be bringing something which you hadn't thought of to it. But generally, the IP is assigned to your business, and which is really good.
And finally, how long is an innovation voucher valid for?
It's valid for 9 months from the date of contract. As Eamon said there, it can generally take between 3 and 6 months to complete. If it's beginning to run out of time, as sometimes things happen with your knowledge provider, then make sure that you keep the Invest in I team apprised of that, so that you can take remedial action.
Okay, that's all the questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Whoa, that was full on for 45 minutes there, an hour and 15 minutes. Okay, well, thanks, Claire, and thanks everybody that was out there. Delighted that you turned up.